everybody. We're a few minutes behind. We have some StreamYard issues. Always going to be something. So, welcome to episode Paranormal Addicts podcast, season 3, episode 6. We'll start out like we always do. Daryl, just introduce yourself to the people out there that might not know who you are.
Yeah, sure. Daryl Marston, better known from Ghost Hunters on A&E. I've been doing this for paranormal for 21 years now. That's crazy to think. Got involved in it in 2005 by complete accident. Went to a paranormal tour at Fort Delaware, and I saw a apparition, and that's what got me started. I went down the rabbit hole, man, and never came out of it.
Once you go down, you don't come out. That's just the way it is.
I've tried several times.
Well, yeah. My story is I was one of the ones that was chosen. I was born with the abilities. I don't remember a time in my life where I wasn't able to see and communicate with some kind of spirit, some kind of apparition. I tell my first book just came out, and that's kind of my opening statement. In my book is my opening statement is most people's first memory is their first bike or their first time on the lake. My first memory is at 6 years old when I saw my first apparition. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, it starts different for everybody. Some people never have an experience. Yeah. It's unfortunate.
It does. So we're going to get started with just some easy questions, just to get to know you a little bit better type thing. So what was the moment that made you go, this is for real?
I think Fort Delaware. I mean, because I'd grown up in a haunted house. I'd only heard the stories from my parents and my grandparents because I'd moved out of there when I was 6 years old. So I don't remember any of it, vaguely. And I had some experiences over the years in my 20s and everything, but I always dismissed them as coincidence or, that I didn't see that or hear that until I was at Fort Delaware. I went there by complete accident. My mom had gotten tickets or won tickets. I can't remember. She had nobody to go with her. So myself and my stepsister said, well, we'll go. It's a Halloween type tour. It's right before Halloween. And I remember getting there and just in all of this location. I lived 10 minutes from Fort Delaware. And I'd never been there, which was weird because it's literally in my backyard. It's on the Delaware River where I live. And went there, and I was just in all of this place at night. It was just amazing. It was so, I don't know, I just had this vibe. And I remember going on the paranormal tour, and we were down in the casemates. And there was a small tour of people. Maybe there's 6 of us in a group. The tour guide was kind of talking to us, and I'm looking down a corridor, kind of like over everybody else's shoulders. And I see what I'm thinking at the time is a reenactor, a Confederate reenactor, because it was a prison camp. It was a Civil War prison camp during the battle. So most of the prisoners there were from the Battle of Gettysburg. They were brought there. And I'm seeing this guy come into frame, maybe 15, 20 feet from me. What I didn't notice at first was he had no lower half. It was just his upper half. It was basically half his torso from maybe stomach up. And he stood there. He was staring at me. I'm staring back at him. And it may have only lasted 8 to 10 seconds. It felt like an hour. And then he kind of backed into the room. And not even back. He got pulled back into the room. And he kind of shrunk down into a ball and just disappeared. He was gone. I didn't say anything. I thought at first, man, I'm seeing things or I'm going crazy. I didn't see what I just saw. There's no way I saw it. I remember leaving there that night, and you have to take a boat to get to Fort Delaware. It's 2 miles into the Delaware River, across the Delaware River. It's in the middle of the river between Delaware and Jersey. And I just remember sitting on the boat, coming home, like 11:30 at night, and just knowing some way, somehow, when I came out there that I had to figure out what I saw. And back in 2005, you didn't have the internet and stuff like we have now. We had internet, but nothing like it is now. So it's not like I could go on there and research stuff. So I'm hitting the bookstores. I'm hitting your Barnes and Nobles and places like that and buying all the paranormal books I can get my hands on. And I started reading about it and trying to figure out, and like, the shows were just kind of getting started back then. You had Ghost Hunters, and I think Ghost Adventures came a little bit later. And I remember watching Ghost Hunters a little bit, and I started getting hooked on that, watching the equipment they were using and stuff, the K2s and things of that nature. So, of course, I was, investing in that stuff, and just doing local spots, like Fort Delaware and Gettysburg and places like that. At the time, not long after that, I started dating my wife, and she got into it. So we started traveling together, just, weekends and things, just going, especially Gettysburg. Gettysburg's really about 2 hours from me. So we always were going to Gettysburg, and then, just investigating locations and places and B&Bs and things like that. And like in 2011, it kind of grew on me where I wanted to kind of branch out a little bit and start going other places. So I met some friends that lived up in Cleveland, right outside of Cleveland. And we hooked up, and we kind of put a group together, and we started. There was only 4 or 5 of us, and we just started traveling and doing a lot of stuff on the East Coast, like Eastern States and Pennhurst and the House of Wills in Cleveland, that's what my book's about, the House of Wills. Gettysburg, all over, Moundsville, you name it. We were all over the East Coast, hitting all these places, Sedamsville. And so after doing that for a couple of years, I got to the point where I was like, man, I'm spending my mortgage payment on ghost hunting. So I got to pull back a little bit, because we were doing it like every month, every 3 or 4 weeks. We were meeting up. They were coming down from Ohio, or I was going to Ohio, and we would go places. So I had to get into something. So I said, okay, my buddy had a great idea. One of the other teammates, members, Craig, said, hey, why don't we start a podcast? At that time, like, I didn't even, this is 2014, 2015. Like, I didn't even know what a podcast was, really. I'm like, okay, let's start a podcast. So we started a podcast on YouTube, and called the American Ghost Hunter Show. And it was very slow for the first year or so. I mean, you're lucky if you got 100 views a week. And then after that, actually, I reached out to a radio station in Vegas, and they actually brought us on for a 45-minute segment every week. So that got bigger. And then I went to a company called Paranormal Warehouse. And Paranormal Warehouse is where it blew up. I mean, you're talking, when I first met on Paranormal Warehouse, went from, having 15 people in the chat to anywhere from 3,000 to 15,000 people in a chat. It was overwhelming, but it was fun, and did that for a while. And that's where Ghost Hunters actually found me, was on my show. When they were rebooting the project, some producer from there named Nick found me, and he sent me up the ladder to other people there, and they called me one night and asked me if I wanted to try out for the show, and interview for the show, I should say. And next thing I know, a few weeks later, I'm flying to LA and signing contracts, and a week later after that, I'm on the road filming Ghost Hunters. So it was pretty fast, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think some people don't realize, and you touched on it, how expensive this can get. I have a friend who has his own team. In our teams, we do several investigations together each year. He just dropped like $4,000 on deposits. I'm like, yeah. So it can get expensive.
Sorry, I'm trying to Gettysburg Asylum. For those wondering how Gettysburg Asylum. I'm not sure what Gettysburg Asylum is.
I think it's Gettysburg, asylums. So most asylums, you can contact the asylum. Most asylums have something. Do note, if you're going to investigate asylum, you're going to expect to spend $1,700.
Yeah.
So
you got to take a group of people. Yeah.
Yeah, a group of people.
Yeah. I mean, I have my own location, my Haunted Manor in Pennsylvania, that we run. And our prices are a lot lower compared to the asylums and stuff. The asylums can get really crazy with the pricing, like Pennhurst and places like that.
Yeah. I mean, even like Yeah, I just went blank. The one here in Kentucky, it's even $1,500 now. So yeah, asylums can get crazy, but asylums are pretty active. So
Yeah.
get like 10 people and go. That's the best way to go.
Yeah, if you want to get like 15 people to go or 10 people to go, it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah,
That's for damn
yeah,
sure.
and it's definitely big enough that it's not going to bother you. So,
Yeah.
So this wasn't actually on one of my. Yeah, you can't just. Okay, so this is one thing that's changed in the 35.5 years I've been investigating. Back in the 90s, there used to be a saying that if you wasn't at least questioned for trespassing, you wasn't a real paranormal investigator. It's not that way anymore. Do
No.
not go somewhere without permission.
Yeah.
And most of these places, unfortunately, most places nowadays are paid to investigate. It's just the way it is. So yeah, so always make sure you get permission. Don't just drive up to Louisville thinking you're going to go to Waverly Hills. It's not going to happen. They got security and gates. You're not getting in. So
Yeah, Waverly Hills has a very extensive security. I've been there and behind the scenes, and they have a whole building that's nothing but cameras and TVs. Yeah, they're on it.
Yeah, and the owner tries to. I've been there 12 times, so it's like because it's basically in my backyard. It's 3 hours away, so it's like so yeah. This last time we went, I went with my team, and the owner met us there, trying to tell the ladies in the group that he was just a maintenance man. Like, before I get to my next question, we actually, I'm sure we have more than one, but we have one location in common that we investigated. And it's actually a location a lot of people haven't investigated. So I want to know what your take on it, if you had any experiences there. And that was the Anderson Hotel.
I was going to say you're in Kentucky, so it was probably Anderson. Anderson is not for the, how can I say it? Not for the newcomer. Anderson, like when you say Anderson Hotel, people think it's this big hotel. It's not. It's
transit hotel. It's a transit hotel.
Yeah,
transit hotel.
It's more like a motel.
It's a travel lodge.
Yeah, it was a very cheap location for people to stay back in the 70s and 80s. There's a lot of death there. A lot of people, suicides and overdoses and possibly some murders. That place is the only place where I was ever physically thrown across the room by something. And I talked about it. I was on a podcast just about a month ago in Japan, and I talked about it. And that place was the one place when I left there that night, I had to go back. Like I wanted to go back to figure out what happens. About 2 months later, I went back again with a different group of people. I brought like 3 or 4 other people with me, and I had nothing happen the second night I was there. The first night was insane. Like I've never experienced anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's definitely not a place for beginners. I tell people
they shut it down, but they reopened it, didn't they?
Yeah, no, this last time they shut it down for good, and they've reopened it recently. We were supposed to go back last year, but they supposedly shut it down to fix the roof, but then it never reopened. And the first time they shut it down, when they reopened it, we were the second team to go.
Gotcha.
And what I tell people all the time is it's to me, they want it to be violently haunted, because as you spoke briefly, they still have the bloodstained mattresses.
Yeah.
They still have the liquor bottles from the guy who hung himself, and they encourage you to bring other liquor bottles.
There's still sigils on the wall from the guy who ran the place. So that's what I mean. Just kind of back it up a little bit. The backstory of the place is in like 88 or 89, they totally shut the place down. They boarded it up. They left everything in the building, all the mattresses, there's bloodstained mattress. There's a bloodstained mattress in the building where a 18, 19-year-old girl died. They don't know if she committed suicide or if
that's a sad
she was
story.
murdered. They've even tested the blood in the bathrooms and stuff that's in the bathtubs with luminol to see if it's real blood, and it's real blood. The place there's the one side is not so bad. The other side is like you're walking to a whole different location when you walk into that right side of the building. And it's very dark and it's very eerie. And I tell you, there's sigils on the wall from the guy who was, I guess he was the caretaker, supposedly. You're practicing black magic and the higher lower keys of Solomon and stuff like that in the building. And so it's a very dark location. I would stay away from it.
So somebody, I want to go back, but that's just ours. I don't recommend it to people that's just dabbling in it. That's one of those places you need to be prepared. And so this thing.
Yeah, I wasn't ready for it. I'd been in the business. I've been investigating at that point for like 10, 11 years when I was there, and I wasn't even ready for it. I thought I was. I had no idea what it was going to be.
I wasn't ready either. The thing to get you to go was they claimed that their ghost bite. That was the thing, our ghost bite.
Yeah, well,
and I wanted to call bullshit on that. Because at that time I had been investigating 20 years by that time. And I've seen a lot of things. I had been scratched, I've been pushed, I've had things thrown at me, but to actually bite, that takes a lot of energy. A lot.
The guy I was with.
I was in the bathtub.
Yeah.
The bathtub on the bottom floor, with the bloodstained bathtub. I was in there. I actually crawled into the bathtub and I was doing the EVP session. And eventually I was told to get out 3 times. That's my rule. If you tell me to get out 3 times, I move on to the next room. So I was getting out of the bathtub, and it's the old-fashioned kind of bathtub. So I'm trying to pull myself out of it. And as I pull myself out of it, I experience what feels like a really deep Indian burn on my calf. It feels like Indian.
I got a story for you.
Then when we got back to the base, a makeshift base, I had what looked like a double bite on my calf. I actually tattooed it, so I'd always have it on my leg. So I actually have a permanent ghost bite on my leg. So
no, I got a story for you. I can back that up, man, 100%. One of the guys I was with, he had a camcorder. He was filming everything we were doing all night. He was standing directly behind me. He said he felt like he had sunburn on his leg, like someone had slapped him on the back of his leg. And he like kind of freaked out. And he's like, I just don't feel good. I got to get out of here. So he gets out. He's out in the lobby area, like where you walk up the stairs, and we go out there, and he had bite mark on the back of his leg, on his calf, like in between his calf and his, like, where it kind of cuffs in the back. He had that bite mark for almost 2 weeks on the back of his leg. And you could count the
that's
teeth.
what mine is. That's exactly what I asked.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Someone being a smart ass.
Yeah, well, and Nancy, I'll answer that because I am a very respectful investigator. Daryl will tell you that. We've talked many, many times. We've been friends for about 4 or 5 years now. I'm a very respectful investigator. I talk to the spirits just like I'm talking to you, just like I'm talking to Daryl. But when I go into a location, I'm there to find answers. So a lot of times when a spirit you to get out, they're just trying to scare you or trying to get you to leave. They're not actually wanting you to leave. So, and some of these investigations, I travel 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. I'm not traveling 5 hours. And the first time a ghost says, get out, I'm not going to pack up. I've been doing this 34 years. I don't scare easily. So, so the three rule is my respectful rule. Because, if they tell me 3 times, I kind of have, by that point, I kind of figure they actually mean it. The first time, they're probably just trying to intimidate me, see where I'm at. So that's why it's 3 times. So it's not about being disrespectful because I'm very respectful. Okay. So we're going to talk about a little bit about your investigation style now, Daryl. Okay. What's something you think a lot of investigators get wrong?
I think a lot of investigators, and this is my personal opinion, and it's not a knock on anybody. I think a lot of investigators rely on equipment way too much. I'm not a big equipment person. I do bring some stuff, but my stuff is pretty solid. It's cameras. I do carry an EDI with me that I've had since Ghost Hunters, and that's in a recorder. That's basically it. So I'm very, when it comes to investigating, I feel less is more. I think you should feel the location out. You're the best piece of equipment that you could possibly ever buy. A lot of equipment is it's made in someone's garage or basement, and they sell it for hundreds of dollars, sometimes even thousands of dollars, and it's not foolproof. So I can't rely on it because I'm an investigator where I need actual physical proof. I need to. If I had to sit down with a client, which I don't do privates, I was never big into those, but if I had to sit down with a client and tell them my K2 went off or my REM pod went off, and that means it's a ghost, I wouldn't be, doing anybody any justice in that. So I need like actual physical proof, either something I captured on camera, and even then you have to, really dissect it. You really do. When in doubt, throw it out. And that's how we were on Ghost Hunters. We were very diligent when it came to the evidence. We would sit down for days at a time reviewing evidence sometimes. And we would look at the same piece of footage sometimes 50 times. And we'd send it around the group. And it was, we had some great stuff, but sometimes there's that one little bit, like, could it be, could it not be? And we didn't use it. We couldn't feel good about it, for one thing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I agree with that totally. I have all the fancy equipment, I do, but I rely more on my abilities. I consider them gifts. Now, to me, now I look at them as gifts from God. 5-year-old me did not look at them as gifts, but now that I've learned to use them, I rely on my abilities. And to me, the equipment is the equipment is to verify what I already sense. So if I can catch and then I never rely on just one piece of equipment. So like if I'm not a big Ovilus person anyway, but if I have Ovilus or any ITC, if I have ITC, I want it to cooperate with the Apple box. And I want it. So, but yeah, I agree. Relying on. So we got a question from the panel here. From the Peanut Gallery. Have you ever tried just using hearing aids to see if they pick up anything?
Hearing aids? I've not. That's actually that's cool. That's a cool idea. No,
it is. I like that. Yeah. I actually have an investigation tomorrow night, and I'm going to do that. I'm telling you, I'm going to do that.
Oh, yeah, hearing aids. Wow, that's yeah. I don't know if I have access to hearing aids, but I'm sure I can find them somewhere. I'll try it. Yeah.
Oh, you can get them at Walmart now. You can't record them, but they may show you something different.
Like a personal experience. Okay. Gotcha.
Hello, gentlemen. Love your thoughts on the equipment. I agree. You're the best equipment available. Oh, it's Mr. Kirby. Hi, Mr. Kirby. There we go. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I agree. The human body is the best piece of equipment that you can ever use. Right. We have so much, our body picks up on so many things, and we dismiss it, and we shouldn't really, especially when you're going to some of these locations. And just one thing I always like doing before I investigate any location is walking it. Even I don't care if it's in the middle of the day. I like to walk the location, feel it, feel the energy of the building. And I don't have abilities that I know of. I can tell when something's off. It's just like I explain to people, like, how do you know when something is going to go wrong? Like, how do I experience it? Like, I feel when something's going to go wrong in an investigation or something's going to kick off. You ever walk into a house where, like, say if you walked into your house as a child, and your parents had just got done arguing, you didn't hear it, but you could feel the tension in the room. That's how it feels like to me personally. I feel the tension. I feel it in the room. It's not always every room. It might just be one or two rooms, but I feel it when I walk into them for some reason. I just pick up on it, and usually 9 times out of 10, I'm pretty on with that.
And each location is different. Like you said, just take Anderson for instance. As soon as you walk into Anderson, you just feel something.
Yeah, that's a different beast. Not all locations are like that. I've only been in two locations where I can actually say are like that. Anderson being one, and the House of Wills in Cleveland being the other. Yeah.
So the next question, and I'm going to say one more thing on equipment, then we're going to move on. But I do like to tell people all the time, what they have to realize with all the fancy equipment we got, none of it was originally designed for paranormal investigators. It was designed for something else, and somebody was like, "Hey, maybe we can use that." Some people said, "Hey, maybe I can get some money out of some people who think." But so that's what you have to think about when you use this equipment. It wasn't originally for this purpose.
Yeah.
So yes, community is definitely a good reason to get into, or to stay into it at least. So okay, so how important is debunking evidence compared to just collecting evidence?
Very important. If you don't try to debunk no matter what you see or hear or you feel, if you don't try to debunk it and get other people involved and share that evidence, to get a different viewpoint on it as well, you might as well not even be doing it, because you're pulling the wool over your own eyes in some aspect. I think definitely debunking it, you got to do it. No matter, I don't care if the Lord Jesus Christ and Savior walked through the front door, I'm going to try to debunk it. Like, did that really happen? And it's a must in this field, because we already get a bad rep in this field sometimes, and I think it's gotten better. Don't get me wrong.
I think it's getting better.
For people just jumping the gun, everything is everything's an orb, and everything's, every knock and click and bang you hear is a ghost. And that's great. I know there's people out there that that's how they investigate, and that's the fun they want to have with it. That's fine. But an actual paranormal investigator, somebody who's really actually trying to create something or build the field, is really going to pull that type of stuff apart and know what they're looking for.
Yeah. There's a difference between a paranormal investigator and a paranormal entertainer, and we have a lot of entertainers nowadays, especially the YouTube. We have this one duo, and I'm not going to mention the names, but I actually refer to them as the Spice Girls of the paranormal field, because they're all about lights and they're not about substance, they're about entertainment. So and there's a place for that, I guess. It was explained to me that the people that tune into those videos are not the same person that's going to tune into my videos, because my videos are like real investigations. So two different audiences, but it still makes me mad. And it used to not make me mad until you cause an actual problem with true investigators. That's when I have a problem. And there's this one group, the Spice Girls of the paranormal field. There's locations now that you can't go live at, and you can't even release a video until the location pre-approves it, and they specifically tell you it's because of these two. So that's when I have an issue. Until then, do what you want to, make your money. We even have one group who charges $60 for a 5x8 picture with no autograph, just a 5x8 picture. If you can sell it for $60, sell it for $60. Just don't make it harder on the real investigators. That's all I ask.
Right.
I don't think that's too much to ask.
No.
And that's just like the title of my book, for the ones of you people who do not know out there. The title of my first book, available on Amazon, is "Don't Buy Generic Batteries, and It's Probably Not a Demon: The Memoirs of a Paranormal Investigator." my second book is halfway written, and you're gonna love the title of this one, Daryl. Are you ready for the title of this one?
Yeah.
It takes more than skinny jeans and screaming demon to be a paranormal investigator.
I'm not. I know who that's referring to, but I'm not going to say any names.
Yeah. I'm sure. I know we do, and I'm sure others do, but we're not going to go there. So. um, so now let's talk a little bit about TV versus reality. Okay.
Yeah.
So, how different is investigating TV? How different is investigating on TV compared to a real life investigation? I mean, and I don't say that disrespectful. I do want people to understand. And I mean, you can talk about this a lot more than me. But
Yeah.
what people don't really understand is when you went out there with ghost hunters or whatever, you were usually on location 3-4 days, sometimes more.
Yeah.
And you had the video cameras and the producers there, and we only see 48 minutes. So
Yeah.
so just enlighten the people on that.
Yeah. So I mean, we would be on location anywhere from 6 days to 15 days, depending on the location. And that's that's not including travel time, getting there, flying there, driving there, wherever. And then it would be off to the next. Just running gun for weeks at a time. On set, which I mean, when I say on set, I'm talking about the actual location. On location, it would be a lot of hurry up and wait. So you could get there 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon, and you could be waiting around till dark to investigate, depending on what time of year it was, and where you were in the world or the country at that point. And you could be there for anywhere from 15, 16 hours, sometimes 12, depending. But you were there for a minimum of 5 days straight in one location, and you would have a day of going over evidence. You'd have a whole day where you would sit in your hotel room and just with your laptop and go over all the evidence that you captured, you personally, on your cameras and on your audio equipment. We all had to go over all our own evidence. And it had to be done that Thursday. So you were up first thing in the morning, and you were running and gunning until about 10 o'clock that night, trying to get everything over so it could be processed and sent back to LA for posts for the next day. That was every day. But like I said, the big difference would be the hurry up and wait. Like without a camera crew with you, you're walking into a location, you do it, you set your stuff up, and you investigate. It's not that. I can speak from the ghost hunter side of things. I can't speak for other shows, but I can speak from the ghost hunter side of things, where it was, okay, you're going to have a producer, you're going to have maybe 2 or 3 camera guys with you, sometimes one, depending, and audio people. So you have people placed throughout the building. You'll have an audio person in a closet or in a bathroom, on the next level down, and on the same level you are listening to everything that's going on. You have a producer sitting outside the building, either in a vehicle or sitting outside, depending on the weather, listening to everything that's going on through the camera guys who are wearing earpieces and telling us, hey, the producer said, maybe go there, go to this room, or go to that room, or do this. But 90% of it, 95% of it was in real time. And you got to remember, like you said, we're there for a week filming. You're only seeing 43 minutes of that filming, and you're talking a day. And there was 3 groups of us, 3 teams. Do the math. We're there 12 hours a day, and everything's being filmed, not just our investigations. Everything. When we're sitting, eating, there's usually a camera on you, because if something happens.
Right.
Anything you say, you better watch what you say, because it's all recorded. When you leave the room, you go use the bathroom, you turn off your mic. There's no such thing as a private conversation. There's nothing like that until you get back to the hotel, and everyone's texting each other like, "What the hell was this? How was it?" Yeah. What the hell did that producer mean by that? Yeah, it's a lot of challenges, because you're working. Our crew was 26 people at any given time, so we had a huge crew with us. It was a lot of money put into the reboot of Ghost Hunters. not just with the crew, or not just with the team, but with the people. Our camera guys and audio people, and we 3 or 4 producers. They all had different job titles. You had APs, you had PAs, you had all these people around you all the time, waiting on you hand and foot. It's very surreal in a lot of ways. It took a lot to get used to, especially for me, and I think everyone else too, because that's having a personal assistant, a PA. I mean, and that we shared a PA. Don't be wrong. We each didn't have our own. There was 2 PAs usually on set at all times. But yeah, it was in real life, you don't have any of that. And on the show, everything's paid for. All your travel's paid for. All your hotels. You get per diem. You get a paycheck after every episode. So yeah, it's yeah. You don't get that in the real world.
No, and yeah. And I've never been like a regular on a show, but I was on a couple of episodes of a couple of different shows. So
Mm-hmm.
so from a small standpoint, I get it. I was on location at Octagon Hall and during the filming, and I was part of that
Yeah.
investigation team. And so yeah, I mean it's definitely different. And we actually have my team actually has the opportunity to maybe get on one of the 2 streaming networks we got, but it's always been kind of a conflict to me because I wanted to make sure. I mean, and I know you're the same way. If me and my team's representing the paranormal, I want it to be seen as an actual investigation. I don't want to be
Mm-hmm.
seen like Zach, and I don't want to be seen as entertainment. I want it to be
Yeah.
seen as real. So,
Yeah.
so my next question is, what is something that the viewers don't see, but they should understand? I mean, you kind of basically answered all that in that one thing. But is there one thing you can think of that the viewers don't really see, but they should know?
Yeah, I think they don't see the true human aspect of it, the hours that are put into it. I think a lot of people who there's a lot of people out there. It's a shame because a lot of people will never get to experience that, but who want to be on a show, who always wanted to be on a show, and when you get on the show, you're like, this is real work. This ain't it's it, it it's not even a 9 to 5. It's you're on. So in your contract that you sign, on my contract and everyone else on that team, they owned you 6 days a week, 24 hours a day. If you were on call, that 7th day was usually your travel day, or a day just to catch up and try to get a couple hours sleep. You don't see the part where we would be getting back to our hotel 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning and have to be back on set by 1 p.m. And okay, so you're going to have to get sleep. You're going to have to eat. I'm a huge person when it comes to working out every day. You have to find gym time, and then you have to find time to shower, shave, and do all that other shit just to get back to set by 1 p.m., 2 p.m. For call time. And that was 6 days a week, 5 days a week. There was very little downtime. There was not a lot of that. And when you did have downtime, you either tried to relax or you wanted to hang out with your people and have a few drinks or whatever, and eat, and then it's right back to it again, man.
And I think it's important people realize that. I mean, they see everything on TV and they're like, oh, blah blah blah. But it's like you said, it is a job, and it's almost like a military several type job because, like you said, it's sometimes 12 hours a day, 6 days a
Mm-hmm.
week on call. So yeah, people
Yeah.
don't see that part. I agree.
It's
So
it's 99.9% work and 1% glamour is what I could say. The glamour part is when you get to meet the people who watch the show, the people who love you, comes to your appearances and events, and they shake hands and all that stuff, and they appreciate what you do. That's the glamour part of it. Most like we would be home, for a few days, where we wouldn't be filming, and there'd be times where we would get a phone call or an email or text message saying, hey, so you have a week off, but guess what? I need you to fly out to Utah to do a pickup. or I need you to fly to Florida or fly to Nevada to do a pickup, and you would be back on a plane and you'd be flying somewhere on your days off to do 2 or 3 days of filming because they missed something or they needed more. And that was all in your contract. So there's like, you could be home with your family for, you got 2 weeks off, or you got a week off, or whatever it may be. And next thing you know, you're getting a phone call 2 days into it that you need to catch a flight tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. because they need you in Utah to pick up 3 things. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what you said is about meeting the public, the fans, for lack of better terms. I think that's the important thing, because I mean, that's why I do my events. Is not that I'm anybody, I'm a nobody. I'm okay with that, but but that's why I do my Paracon. That's why I do my meet and greets. Is so we can get out there in the public, so we can educate, help further the field, So yeah, I think that's the important thing. So let's talk a little bit about. Okay, so let's talk about after everything you've seen, what do you personally think we're dealing with? Do you think it's supernatural? Do you think it's environmental? What do you think?
When it comes to the paranormal?
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm a strong believer in energy. We're all made up of energy. It's a scientific fact. I think that energy, when this vessel that we're in, our body, when it dies, whatever you want to call it, that energy has to go somewhere, and that's what you're seeing. That's what the paranormal is when it comes to these spirits. You're seeing leftover energy. The energy has to go somewhere. It cannot be destroyed. So it's going to go somewhere, and where does it go? I do believe a lot of what we see with these entities and things of that nature are it's just human spirits that are still lingering around. That energy is what's left over. May not be all the energy, it may just be some of the energy, but it's there, and it's left. When you have the residual type haunts, it's just an imprint. I almost to the point where I don't even call residual hauntings anymore, because they don't know you're there. They can't interact with you. There's no reaction to it. It's just a basically our tape recording played over in time, and it doesn't happen all the time.
I like to say a glitch in the matrix. That's my term.
Yeah, it's basically if you have a somebody who gets up 5 a.m. 6 days a week and walks down the same hallway of their house and goes to their kitchen and is out the door by 6 a.m. That is a residual imprint of them for 50 years doing that until the day they die. That energy, it just keeps replaying itself. And it doesn't happen all the time. I don't think any of us are really sure how it happens. I know there's been a lot of tests done with it, with humidity and pressure and limestone and quartz and things of that nature. I don't know what actually creates it, but it's there. It's just part of it's part of the universe at this point.
Yeah, I mean, traditionally, at least a couple of years ago, they used to say residual is the most common type of activity. But I'm like you, I don't even really consider it activity because you can't interact with it.
Yeah.
So intelligence is obviously, to me, the most common, because you actually can interact with it. You actually know it's there. So my best residual experience or story. We have a place here in Paducah, Kentucky, where I'm from. So here in Paducah, it's called the Hotel Metropolitan.
Mm-hmm.
It was the African American hotel during segregation.
Okay.
So all the Negro League baseball players, all the musical stars stay there, so forth and so on. But there's activity there. I won't say a lot, but there's activity there. But the most known, the most famous spirit there is the owner, and her name was, I think, Miss Maggie, if I remember correctly. Well, for whatever reason, she has a really interesting story. So it adds to the whole thing. Her backstory is she was a black woman, obviously, and she always tried to get her husband to open this hotel. Well, he wouldn't do it. So when he died, she used his name and his money to open the hotel back when back when black people didn't own businesses, much less black women. So
Yeah.
So for whatever reason, at 11:01 p.m., I don't know why 11:01 p.m. Don't ask me why, but 11:01 p.m. she comes down the staircase. That's all she does. Just comes down the staircase. Well,
Right.
I've actually investigated the Metropolitan Hotel 13 times. That's not an exaggeration. I've actually did it 13 times. I did it twice. I've even did it twice as a public investigation or a novice investigation. I hate that term, but I know the Metropolitan well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And of these 13 times, I was only able to experience the residual once, and I was actually doing it. My team was actually investigating it with a film crew from Belmont University down in Nashville.
Okay.
So we had this film crew with us, and every investigation I've ever done, everybody came down to at the bottom of the staircase at 10:50, so we could set up and see if we could catch. So, like I said, we never caught it. Well, when we was with this film crew from Belmont, we actually caught at 11:01 what looked like a shadow coming down the staircase, and the curtains actually moved.
Wow.
That's all it was. That's all that happened. But we did capture it, so maybe it's something. So
yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And I definitely agree with what you're saying about energy. I think even Einstein said, energy is everywhere. The energy has to go somewhere when we die.
Yeah.
So here's my question. I like to ask not everyone, but some of the people I trust and trust their opinions, I guess. So, how has the field changed your beliefs about life or death?
I do know there's something after all this. Where we go, I cannot tell you. That I guess none of us will know that until the time comes. There's life after this. There's some kind of life. I don't know if we go back to like a main energy source because, like I said, we're made up of energy. I do believe the universe is just energy. The whole universe, everything is connected in some way, somehow. We are all connected. Every molecule, every atom, everything is connected. And I believe it's all connected to one source in the universe. Do we go back to that? Is that the light that some people say they see? Don't know. I do know that there is something after all this, though. So I mean, I don't worry about death. It doesn't concern me. Yeah, I don't want to die tomorrow or anything, but I just know there's something else after all this, and what it is, I couldn't tell you. I mean, hopefully it's the heaven that they say it is. I think heaven's in all of us. I think it's more in us than it is like a physical place. I think we all have it in us. That you kind of what Jesus taught was teaching was about us being the monad, the monad that creates all, which is the universe. And I think we're all part of that. And I think that's something we lost over the thousands of years with religion and things of that nature.
Yeah. So we could do a whole episode of religion because one thing, I'm actually, I'm one of the people that Christianity or whatever is part of my story. It's part of my investigation style. It wasn't always because 6-year-old me was at a hospital in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. I was in a hospital visiting my grandfather, and I was this 68-year-old black lady that I never met in my life walked over to me and told me that I was a tool of the devil and I was going to hell because of my abilities. So that's not something you can tell a 6-year-old kid. But through my journey in this field, I'm an educated investigator too. I have a degree in parapsychology. I have a degree in theology. I trained under Bishop Long in demonology. So I'm educated. And I don't know if religion has really changed. I think dominations, Christianity, Catholicism, Judaism. I think when we do all that and separate, that's when we went into problems. Because one group says, "Oh, the Bible says this," and one group says the Bible says this. Then another group says there is no Bible. So so I think that's when we run into problems. But I agree. There's something, and we won't know the answers till we get there. So that's so this new. We're almost out of time, so we're going to do what I like to call my quick fire round. So these are just quick questions. So we're just going to get your reaction. And some of these are really relevant to you. They're just questions I ask you about because we've already said that you're not really big on equipment. But the first question is, what's your favorite piece of equipment?
EDI.
Least trusted device.
Any app.
The scariest location you've been to?
The scariest location I've been to, House of Wills in Cleveland, Ohio.
Most underrated location?
Probably Haines, Alaska.
And this question, a lot of people don't like to answer, but I always ask it anyway. Most overrated location?
Ooh. Oh man. I'm friends with a lot of people. I'm just going to say most of the big name places. Yeah, I'm not going to name one.
That's a nice safe answer. I like that one.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah.
That's a good way to play it. I will say the place that I used to name, and I guess would still name if I was asked, is no longer in operation. The building's not even there anymore, so that makes it a little bit safer. And it's in Kentucky, if that gives you a little bit of...
Bobby Mackey's. I've been there, yeah.
I've been there too.
Yeah.
So one place you want to investigate?
I would love, and I get this question a lot, I would love to do the true Amityville horror house. Yeah.
So I have a few places I haven't been to that I would like to. One, I get to check off this year in November. I'm finally going to make it to the Hinsdale house.
Okay, I've been to Hinsdale. I've done a couple appearances there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a nice 14-hour trip for me. So I've not been there, but I am going there in November. And then Penhurst has always been a big one for me.
Yeah, Penhurst.
I've been there for the Paracon, but I've never investigated. And then the other one is probably never going to happen would be Alcatraz. And I mean, Alcatraz is an investigation. That is a terror. I mean, it's actually,
I've never done Alcatraz. I've been to Penhurst many times. I live an hour from Penhurst. I filmed Epic Haunts there about 5 years ago, and the world's largest ghost hunt there. It's an amazing location, Penhurst. Yeah.
Yeah, that's always been my number one place. So okay. So do you believe in demons?
I do believe there's dark entities. I can't say that I believe in something I've never seen. I've never ran into anything like that. Thank God. I've ran into some really dark energy. I do believe there probably is demons. I don't think they're what we as society has made them. And I don't think they really even interact with us like people think they do. If you've ever had an encounter with a demonic entity or anything of that nature, you probably wouldn't even know it, to be honest with you, because they're very patient. They don't, time doesn't matter to them. They could take as long as they want.
They do
whatever they want to you. So you wouldn't even know it. So no, I believe in them, but I've never had any encounters with a demon now.
Well, like I said, I'm trained, under Bishop Long, and this is my take on demons. What's the title of the book? It's probably not a demon. So if there is demonic energy, it's less than 1%. And all these people on YouTube running around in tight jeans and yelling it's a demon, if they ever actually ran into a demon, they would piss their pants. So that's all I gotta say about that.
Absolutely.
That's Forrest Gump was saying. So okay, so we're getting ready to go to closing section, but I want to throw this out here there because we talked about this a little bit a couple weeks ago, and we talked about me bringing you down here to Kentucky for my expo. So my plan, and I hope, and I'm including you in my plan, so you know what my plan is. So
Okay.
next year is year 5.
Okay.
Next year I'm going all out, and you're the first one I'm planning on bringing in.
I'll be
travel, everything. I got you, brother.
All right, I'll be there. Just tell me the date, and I'll definitely be there for you.
September 25th. September 25th.
September. Okay, of 2027. Yes.
Yeah, 2027. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
All right.
You
so
we
close it. So happy to have you. And next year we might actually move to Paducah, which, if you know anything about this area, Paducah is the bigger city in this area. So Paducah is actually so if you go north to south from St. Louis to Nashville, Paducah is right in the middle, and it's the biggest city in between.
Gotcha.
It's not a big city. We're talking about 45,000 people, but it's big enough.
Gotcha.
Right. So so in closing, so here's our closing step. These are easy ones for you. Where can people find your work?
You could find.
You talked about your book and your other stuff. So this is your time to promote it.
Yeah, The Horrors of the House of Wills is my book. Came out about almost 3 years ago now. It's available in Barnes and Noble, Amazon, places like that, bookstores everywhere. Where you can really find me is if you go to myhauntedmanor.com. That's our website. That's a location I actually run up in Columbia, Pennsylvania, which is about hour and a half from where I live, and we're up there all the time. We hold events. A very active location. The whole town is in Columbia. It's probably about hour 20 outside of Philadelphia, so it's not that far for people in the tri-state area, I should say. So yeah, check it out, guys. And you can go. You go to my Instagram, which is Daryl Marston Ghost Hunter. If you want to follow me or anything, I'm more on Instagram than I am on anything else. Yeah.
Yeah. So just so you know, and then I'm going to let you go. Just so you know, the plan for next year will be I'll have to fly you into Paducah.
Okay.
And so if I have the event in Paducah, that'll be easy. But if I'm back in Mayfield, I'll have to either pick you up or rent you a car because there's no airport. But Paducah's not even a major airport. If I'm flying you into a major airport, it's going to be Nashville, and then I have to drive an hour and a half to pick you up, which that might happen too. We'll figure all that out later. But you're definitely going to be part of next year. So
we got time. We'll figure it out.
Yes, we'll figure it out. Thank you for being on there, and
thank you for having me, Ken. Yeah, great show.
Thank you.